What's up, guys? Welcome to Roensch Capital Charts. Today we're taking a look at Alibaba stock, ticker symbol BA. BA on a variety of time frames in anticipation of the next trading day, Tuesday, February 20th. Well, guys, Baba stock here on Friday finished the day up 9 cents a share, essentially a flat day, 0.12%. It is down slightly in the after hours. Just understand, as always, whether after hours movement is in your favor or going against your current sentiment, have to take it with a grain of salt. Why? Look at volume. See how low that is? It can move on the smallest of orders. It's just not definitive movement here. Well, let's take a look at Baba here, starting on the 1 minute chart. You guys know I'm a scalper at heart. It's what I do every single day. So we have to start this video primarily focused on taking a look at Tuesday with some intraday revenue generating opportunity that we could potentially look to replicate come Tuesday. And this is, of course, Friday's chart. So looking here on the 1 minute chart, immediately the first thing I notice, the stock wasn't necessarily in play on Friday. Okay, that's okay, but that leaves us with a much smaller playbook to look to utilize to execute trades that actually have positive expected value. We can't just trade random chop. You'll get chopped up by commissions, and it's a really easy way to lose money. Every single intraday trade that we take has to have edge. Otherwise, what are we doing? We're just wasting our time. So really what we're left with, since, at least for me, since the stock wasn't technically in play, okay, is one of my backbone setups that I developed. I call it the repeat offender. And we got somewhat of a setup here going where we see this 2 standard deviation volume weighted average price band. It's a subconscious, very psychological area. You pull away hard from volume weighted average price. The further you pull away on no big news events. Really, the news kind of changes everything. But again, on any normal day, the more you pull away from volume weighted average price, the more that rubber band effect tends to take hold. So when you start seeing these multiple bounces, bounce, sloppy, slightly early bounce, and bounce, there are a lot of traders who may have looked at taking this to the long side, and it would have worked out. However, for me, 74.35 is kind of that entry area. We never actually really bounced at 36. The problem is this channel with the EMAs, those psychological barriers. It was tight. It was only like 10 cents. So for me, that trade no longer has edge. If you guys would like to get these scalp setup alerts, I alert my personal scalp setups every single day with our Roensch Capital Gold server. I alert them ahead of time as I'm actually watching the setup. Or you're looking to potentially expedite your trading process by getting some platinum one-on-one coaching with me. Take a look at that first link in the pinned comment. The price does go up over time. It has consistently for the last 3 years, but whatever price you join at, you'll be grandfathered in at, and I'll never raise it on you as long as you're an active member. But let's start looking at this now from more of a day-to-day mentality. Let's move away from the intraday mentality and start looking at this 5 minute chart and look at volume. Okay, let's see. Is there a big sample size of the market that agrees with one move or the other, one sentiment or the other? Okay. Now, it's not entirely fair here from Friday because we don't really have a big upside aggressive move here on Baba. You could argue, maybe this little bounce here, we crossed over those EMAs, but we didn't really get any pop in terms of volume. Here into Power Hour, on that down move, we did see increasing volume. Bulls, just understand that the bears are going to be looking at this here, okay, and saying, wow, we really like that. The big sample size of the market agreed with our move more than these little wiggles to the upside. Bulls, understand the psychology of the bears. That's going to serve you better than just looking for anything that confirms your bullish bias. Okay, sure, it doesn't feel good, but it's far more effective. So just understand that the bears might be thinking that. However, going into Power Hour, elevated volume is expected anyway, so I wouldn't say it's incredibly biased here from Friday. Now, let's move on here and start getting really contextual with day-to-day levels to watch, starting with the 30-minute chart with the 50-period moving average and the 200-period moving average. Here's what I'm watching from a bullish perspective here on Baba come Tuesday. Okay, look here. The stock is currently about 0.6% away, an upside move, 0.6% from making a test of that 50 period. If I'm a bull, I absolutely have one thing on my mind: reclaim that 50 period and reclaim it as support. Okay, get above, retest, claim it as support, pull away. If I'm a bear, I'm thinking really two things. If we do see a test of that 50 period, reject hard. But if you're a bear, really, your ultimate goal is to make that 1.3% downside move to test that 200 period and then break downside through that 200 period moving average here on the 30-minute chart. All right, let's take a look now at the 4-hour. You can see this 4-hour chart is incredibly in play as of right now. Let's crop that wick out of there so we can actually see what's going on. Take a look here. The 50 period here on the 4-hour is at 73.46 and the 200 period is at 73.19, 73.18. The stock's at 73.75. So both of these are immediately relevant. If I'm a bull looking at this 4-hour chart, here's what I'm thinking. Upon a test of that higher level, that 50 period, I want to see that hold very strong as support, like we saw on Thursday, in the first half of the day. Okay, retest this 50 period if we do see a retest and bounce hard away from that level. And if you're a bear, ideally you want to see both of these get cracked to the downside, break both of those, get down below 73 bucks a share. Okay, now the most important chart of all. This is what every fund, institution, retail investor, algorithm is paying attention to: the daily chart. Of course, the only immediately relevant level is that 50-day moving average, but it's at 73.15, so it's very relevant here in the short term. I mean, we're talking, about a 1% downside move to make a retest of that. Obviously, bears, your ultimate goal come Tuesday is to crack downside beneath that 50-day. And bulls, if we see a retest at all, ideally if you're a bull, you wouldn't want to see a retest. You just want to see a green day, lock in a green day, ultimately head up toward that 200-day moving average up in the mid to low 80s, right? Of course, not necessarily in one day, but start that process. But if you're a bear, you want to see us break back down beneath that 50-day to potentially delay any further upside or even discourage some bulls. Now, what are the options traders? How are they positioning? What's the bias from Friday as we head into Tuesday here? Big sample size, 271,000 total contracts traded. But guys, look at this bias here. This is absurd. 204,000 calls compared to just 66,000 puts. The overall ratio is overwhelmingly leaning bullish. Okay, and if we look at the short-term speculators, the out of the money, those 0 to 20 delta contracts, 73,000 calls, 18,000 puts. All right, you look at every other front, out of the money, at the money, in the money. On average, that's going to be short-term sentiment, mid-term, and longer-term. They are all leaning to the call side here on Friday. Okay, with an overwhelming overall call-to-put ratio leaning to the call side. As always, understand this is one factor of many. Make sure your risk is managed. The options traders can, of course, be wrong. Listen, if you like me covering Baba stock, you'd like me to continue doing so, let me know in the comments section. That feedback does help out tremendously. Appreciate you guys subscribing to the channel. We recently blew away our 1K goal. So appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one.